We're in the home stretch on the road to the college football playoff. So we're back live on the big mountain.
Hey, welcome back to the mountain. Thank you guys for tuning in for another live episode. Yes, we are through the regular season, but my goodness, we've got championship games in which we are picking every championship game. You said you were going to do it, and I'm like, well, if Steve's going to do it, and I got to do it.
Got to do it. I threw the gauntlet down.
You did, and I went, well, I'm not going to be left behind.
Right.
So we got 9 games that we're going to be picking. We're going to do it kind of together. Steve will kind of start us off. We'll talk about the game. I'll let you know if I agree or if I disagree, and there's several that I disagree with, and we'll get them up there. And I'm glad we have Michael on, because Michael's been a long-time mountain dweller. Mm-hmm. He usually can't be on some of our live shows, but he's on today, and he should be impressed that I'm wearing a Nevada Wolfpack shirt. My first time ever wearing the Nevada Wolfpack shirt. I got some new garb. So this is the first time I'm unleashed.
Is that home field too?
Home field.
Like, you got the logo.
I love home field.
That's like the special home field because you got the logo, you got the stripe.
I don't know. Yeah. The only thing I will say about home field, I'm disappointed that they don't have any good UNLV stuff. So I got to go to the UNLV athletic store and buy legit UNLV merch. Home field does not do UNLV justice, which is disappointing because they had Hey Reb and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe they don't have good.
They got good. They got, who's the Jackrabbits? Is that South Dakota State? One of those Dakotas. They got the Jackrabbit stuff. Looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, South Dakota State is the Jackrabbit.
Yeah, they got awesome South Dakota State stuff.
So anyway, as I call them Nevada, but I know our UNLV peeps love to call them UNR.
Oh.
There's a whole big thing about. I learned all about this.
University of Nevada.
UNLV versus UNR, and they're both the one's the flagship, but the other's not. I'm not going to get into that. But maybe if we have Nevada versus UNLV fans, they can piss and moan to each other in the chat.
Is that like the big brother, little brother, like Michigan?
I think it's partly that. Yeah, it's just kind of like we hate you and you hate us, and we're gonna dig at your side any way we can.
My Schwartz is bigger than yours.
That's what it is. Yeah. So all right, we got a lot of great peeps on here. Some of our typical, we got Tommy Gunn. He's a UNLV fan. He's a Reb fan, so we're going to get to that game. And I know we have JEH. Thank you for being here, JEH. We got no beef game to pick, but he is a good old mountain dweller that rarely misses a live ep.
Hey, JH, cheers to the Beavs for winning the Pac-12 championship this year.
That's right. And Dolph asked if, and Steve and I switched it up. Steve's drinking beer tonight.
Yes.
And JY's on the water. Because JY's getting over a little bit of an ish. So I want to make sure I'm on the mend. Liquor, kind of sets you back a notch.
So the dwellers will get to see me under the effects of alcohol.
You can talk about a-holes tonight, like I did last week. So let's not go there again. All right, well, with that, we'll continue to talk with obviously our mountain dwellers through chats and things. But let's get right into it. You ready to start?
I'm ready to rock.
I don't know what order you necessarily put these in.
I put them in the order on. I think it says they're going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So I think Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State maybe tomorrow night.
That's right. There are 3 games tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, you are correct about that. I think you are right. We'll start with the Friday night games, and we're starting with the Western Kentucky Jack State. So go for it, bud.
Let's go for it. Yep. So what is this? Is this Conference USA championship?
That is Conference USA. Yes.
So CUSA, Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. I decided to go Western Kentucky plus the points, 4.5. I didn't really have a good feel for this game. I think a lot of people think Jacksonville State is the better team. They are the favorite. I think it's going to be a close game. I just decided to take the points on this. WKU plus 4.5 points.
Yeah. You know what the best part about this game?
Mm-hmm. What?
No liberty.
Oh, yes.
The best part about this game is no liberty.
Very nice.
And I said early on, I think in our pregame, our preseason picks, I said Liberty's going to have at least 1, if not 2 losses this year. I was pretty sure about it, and I think did they end up with 3?
Yeah, they lost. What was that one crazy loss? The first loss they had was to one of the worst teams.
Yes, they lost. Didn't they lose to Jacksonville or not Jacksonville? Kennesaw.
Yeah, Kennesaw State.
Yep. And so anyway, I'm with you. I'm not making a different pick. I'm also taking WKU. I like them going into this game. I like getting points with them. I know Jacksonville State's playing really, really strong right now, but I liked Western Kentucky even when I said Liberty's going to have losses. I liked Western Kentucky from preseason. I still like them, and I'm happy to take the 4.5 points here with Western Kentucky. So we agree on our first pick.
Yep. All right.
For the Conference USA Championship.
So let's keep it going. We got the American Conference next. Tulane at Army. I watched a good amount of that Tulane Memphis game, and boy, Memphis really put it to Tulane. And yeah, Army got beat up by Notre Dame. Not a real fair matchup. I'm taking Army plus the 5.5. Probably Tulane wins, okay? The reason I'm going this, I think Army will just keep this game, as the Sturdivant academies do, keep it low scoring, keep it, low number of possessions, just stick around and be annoying. Could they win it straight up? Yeah, maybe they could. I think Tulane probably wins, but I'm taking Army plus the 5.5 points. I love getting them what I think a low scoring game, 5.5 points.
So you're taking the points with Army.
I'm taking the points with Army.
I am actually going to disagree with you. The first of a few that I'm going to disagree with you. I'm actually going to go with Tulane. I just think they're the overall better team here. But I totally understand. I mean, 5.5 points, if they keep it to a field goal-ish, right. I get it. It is a decent number of points. But I have to go with Tulane here. I just think they're the better team. Army, when we saw them play against Air Force, their quarterback kind of makes them go. Most teams' quarterback makes them go. But he's been great. He's been great all season. But I just think Tulane's going to be too much for them. So I'm taking Tulane minus 5.5. I see a lot of people saying go Army, go Army, go Army. So everybody's with you. And I got to be different. I'm going Tulane. I hate their mascot, I hate the symbol, the stupid green wave thing. It looks like a kindergartner made it. I hate it. But I'm not here to pick who has the best daggone logo, because that's clearly Army. Army's logo is way cooler.
Black Knights.
I'm going for who I think is going to win the football game. And again, but everybody's against JY here. Look at this. Jerry, Michael, JEH, everybody says go Army. And I'm over here by myself, but that's okay. They're Bill, everybody. They're all going Army. Now, I do want to ask, Bill said earlier,
the Mountain Dwellers are a patriotic bunch, so.
That's true. Good point. Fresno State got a new head coach. I saw it was close. I didn't see it was actually announced. Has it been announced?
I don't think it's been officially announced, but it's like everybody's saying
everybody's like, it's happening. Yeah. He's the current.
They haven't had the press conference yet.
Is it Entz? I don't know if I say it correctly.
I think it's Entz.
Entz, current USC assistant. But he was the head coach up at North Dakota State.
He was really successful there. For
multiple FCS championships. That would be a great hire for Fresno, and they need to get a hire because they're bleeding players mightily right now. So, okay. The big one, Steve.
Yeah.
The big one, and we have a lot of UNLV fans on our chat right now.
I'm ready.
What are you going to do about it?
Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to so the Mountain West game of the year, probably the G5 game of the year. We're getting a replay of it. I'm not going to talk about it too much because you're the Mountain West guy. I'm going to say my pick, and then I'm going to dangle a little bit of sugar out there.
Ooh, my goodness.
So my pick here, I'm going with Boise to cover the 3.5. However, this might sound weird, okay? My pick is officially Boise to cover the 3.5. However, I love... If you want some value there, I love the UNLV money line just because I think it'll be so tight, so close. I jumped on the money line. I think it was plus like 139 or something. Okay. So if you can, if you're a UNLV fan and you want to grab that money line, there's definitely some value there because I think this comes down again to a very close game before. I think Boise will cover the 3.5, but I think it's going to be very close, just like before. So I want to hear what you have to say about this game.
Yeah, it's a good line, and I'm also taking Boise minus 3.5. Apologies to all of our UNLV Rebels fans. I know we have several on here. It's just very difficult to win on the blue. Albertsons is going to be rocking. This is what they have been playing for. They've been playing for the CFP, but they got to win this game because I do believe the winner of this game gets into the CFP. And so the pressure's on both teams to do this. I think the door is open for UNLV. There's been some comments made about it. So I think the door is open to UNLV if they win this game to possibly get into the CFP. I think Boise's playing for a 3 or 4 seed, most likely a 4 seed, but 3 or 4 seed. And UNLV would probably be playing for the 12th seed. They're not going to jump up and take one of those bye spots because of where the CFP is at right now. But yeah, I mean, they're both playing to get into the CFP. So huge game. I am so happy we get to see a rematch of the G6 game of the year. I was giddy about it last week. I'm giddy about it again this week. And it's on a Friday night on Fox, flagship network. I mean, you can't have it much better than this in Boise on the blue. They got to play in Allegiant the first game. Yes. You know, they get the home team is where the game's going to be played. Yeah. It's only right for them to, frankly, if they're going to get one in Allegiant, get one up at Albertsons. So it's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to play. I can't go against Boise at 3.5. It's too low of a spread for me to knock on them. I'm anxious to see what happens with Genty, because I do think he's a little more banged up than I think people really realize, and you're not going to know it. He's not going to say it. Clearly, that left arm has been hampering him. I think it's gotten better, of course, over the last few
UNLV
weeks.
Game. I think
yes,
he originally
tweaked it, hyperextended it or something like that. But I think there's maybe some other stuff. I mean, he's such a workhorse. And they run him so much. I think, you know, he's not totally hampered. He's not like at a 50%, but you know, I think he's got some other issues going, and UNLV can do both sides of the ball. I mean, they are not a one-trick pony. They got the throw, they got the pass. Hajj-Malik Williams has looked amazing. And I'm anxious to see. I think the defense that's who's going to win this game. If UNLV can stop Genty, they're good to go. If Boise can get into the backfield and disrupt Hajj-Malik Williams, not allow him to escape the pocket, to use his legs, I think they win. So I'm anxious to see how the defenses play this game, because whichever defense is able to hold back kind of those stars, that's going to be the winner of the game. So totally looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say. And honestly, I think, you know, if this game was back in Vegas again, or like a neutral site, I think I might be leaning more towards taking UNLV just straight up, you know, money line pick or just straight up. But like you said, you know, being at home on the blue turf, it's a different animal. This game was really close the first time. It's going to be close again, and you just have to think that, you know, Boise has that advantage there. So someone mentioned, I want to go back because you talked about the CFP a little bit.
Yeah.
So someone asked, what about the Big 12? If you know, are they going to get stuck behind? Well, like you said, if
Mr. Ed asked,
if Boise beats UNLV, Boise is going to be ahead of any Big 12 team. They're already ahead of them. I mean, they've shown on the field that they've been better than the Big 12 teams. The Big 12 has kind of knocked each other off.
Right.
I mean, it just is what it is. Unfortunately for UNLV, they're ranked behind a couple Big 12 teams. Honestly, if you look at UNLV's out of conference schedule, they are right there. You know, if they were to upset Boise, they have a comparable schedule to anybody who wins the Big 12 championship. The one thing that hurts them still a little bit is that loss to Syracuse. Really shouldn't hurt them because that, you know, Syracuse was a decent team that knocked off Miami there towards the end and had a good season, but it's just that extra loss. If they had one, you know, if their only loss was to Boise,
right,
I think UNLV would also be jumping over any Big 12 champion. But as it is, Boise has a chance for that. For the 4th seed, and if Clemson were to knock off SMU,
right,
they may actually be able to jump all the way up to the 3rd seed, which would be amazing. So
I don't know how I mean, with where the rankings are now and what is he, the chair of the CFP committee, whatever that guy, the comments that he's made.
Yeah, Ward Manuel.
Yeah, I mean, if Boise wins this game, to me, they are rooting for Clemson to knock off SMU because you potentially become. I think they are the 3rd seed. That's my opinion. Yeah. They would be the 3rd seed.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I agree with you.
Michael asked, do I think, or would I say that UNLV has been on the uptick and Boise has been the opposite? Yes, I think UNLV's coming into this game super hot. Like they couldn't want any more than where they're at right now. They are playing phenomenally well. Their last few games have gone perfectly. I mean, they are riding high coming into this game. And yeah, I mean, I'm not taking Boise because I'm locking Boise. I have to make a pick, and I'm making the pick. I'm taking the home team in on the blue.
Not a close game.
But I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I see, some people saying it's going to be obviously within a touchdown, 5 points. I saw somebody say it's going to be close. This is not just because Steve and I are both taking Boise does not mean we think it's going to be an easy game no matter what. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm glad I'm a Mountain West fan that I can just enjoy the game. I'm a fan of both teams, so I'm going to do just that. I'm going to enjoy the game.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to keep reading a couple of comments. Why don't you go to the next? We're going to the Big 12.
Let's go to the Big 12.
Let's
We were
go
just
right
talking
to
about
it.
the Big 12.
Yeah.
And this is actually, I think my producer's aware. I think our producer's aware. This will be my first lock of the night. So some people might be wondering, are we doing any locks? I've got 2 locks tonight, JY.
Well, you smoked it last week.
I did. 5 out of 6 last week, which was awesome. Got 2 locks tonight, and neither one of them is the Big 10 game. So
Okay.
This game here, the Big 12, Iowa State and Arizona State. I'm taking Arizona State to cover the 2.5, and I'm making that a Big Mountain ice cold lock. I just absolutely love the way Arizona State is playing. We talked about how UNLV was coming in on a hot streak. Well, Arizona State, to me, is one of the hottest teams in the country, the way they've been playing. Iowa State, I think, is just going to be outmatched here. I'm surprised the line. I really thought the line would be maybe like 4.5, 5.5 for Arizona State.
Yeah.
I think they win this game by a touchdown, maybe more. And that's why I decided to lock Arizona State to cover the 2.5.
I totally agree with you. I'm not making any locks this week because I just I don't like them enough. But if I was to make one, this is the one that I would make. I'm also surprised that it's as low as it is at 2.5. And I just talked about how well UNLV's been playing. Arizona State's been playing just as good.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are playing some damn good ball right now. They are coming into this game on an absolute high. It's at Arizona State. I love this 2.5 line. I think they easily win this game. I'm with you. Touchdown to 10 points maybe. So, again, I'm not locking anything, but I totally agree with your pick, and I totally understand why you're locking it. Arizona State's playing just mad good ball right now. So,
Agreed.
Go Sun Devils.
Yeah.
All right, so who's next? Next is our buddy Steven's game
We got the MAC
for
here.
the MAC championship.
Yep, and we did early in the year, in the preseason, we did a MAC preview with Steven. That was a lot of fun. My thoughts on this game kind of go back to what our original thoughts were in that MAC preview. So Steven's Ohio Bobcats, and he is the host of the Bobcat Corner on YouTube. So the Ohio Bobcats and Miami of Ohio. I'm actually taking Miami of Ohio minus 1.5. I think the line is good here. I think this is a good even matchup. I was kind of, I don't know if I was rooting or hoping. I was hoping Bowling Green could make it into this game because Penn State they gave Penn State such a hard game earlier in the season. I thought they were a good team, but when it comes down to it, I think these are the most deserving teams, Ohio and Miami. I was high on Miami of Ohio this year. I thought they might have actually had a chance to go undefeated and compete with the Mountain West champion for that G5 spot. Didn't quite work out like that, but I think the 2 best teams made it there. So I'm taking Miami to cover the 1.5. But honestly, this is almost like a pickup game, pick'em game, coin flip game. I could see either team winning.
I would think if you're a MAC fan of the conference, like I'm a Mountain West fan of the conference, you're super excited for this game.
Yes.
I mean, 1.5, again, it's a pick'em type of line. I'm with you, Steve. I'm not making a different pick. I'm also taking Miami of Ohio. I wish the absolute best luck to our friend Steven and his Ohio Bobcats. Again, when you look at some of these lines, I mean, what is the biggest line we have here? 5.5. 5.5 is the biggest line, or biggest spread, I should say, of any of the conference championship games. That's pretty phenomenal. Because sometimes you have these conference championship games and they're way out of whack. But most of these are sitting here 2s and 3s are where most of these games are. But I'm with you. I'm taking the Red Hawks, Miami of Ohio, at minus 1.5. I do want to go back. Spence mentioned, and I saw this earlier, the wide receiver for Arizona State. I just saw earlier today he's out for the game versus Iowa State. That's a bummer.
Yep.
But I'm still with you. Arizona State's going to roll in that game.
And I think we need to give Steven one last shout out because I'm pretty sure in his preview he had his top 3 teams in the MAC where he said it would come 2 out of these 3 would get in a championship game was Miami, Toledo, and Ohio. I'm pretty sure those were his 3 teams, and he said 2 of them would get in. He said Ohio had a chance. So,
And Mr. Ed corrected me.
oh yeah,
I don't know anything about the Big 12.
oh yeah,
I intentionally ignore them.
Yes,
I'll be
yes.
dead honest with you. I don't like them very much.
Yeah.
So I don't know that. But I said it's at Arizona State, and it's in Texas. It's at a neutral site.
Yes.
So the home team is Arizona State, but it's
Yes.
not played. I did say it was at Arizona State. So apologies. Thank you, Mr. Ed, for the correction.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a great venue for them. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the house that Jerry built. I mean, huge venue. Hopefully they fill it up.
Tom and Jerry?
No, Jerry Jones. Your buddy. Jerry Jones. Okay. All right, let's move forward here. So, SEC championship game.
Yes.
Georgia against Texas. Not
Yes,
really,
right.
not really at Texas.
Home team
but
Texas.
Georgia against Texas. I think this one is in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Pretty sure. It's either there or the Sugar Bowl, but I think it's in Atlanta. So Georgia against Texas. Georgia comes in as a 2.5 point, or actually Georgia's getting 2.5. I'm going to take Georgia plus the 2.5 points. I was kind of surprised that Texas was the favorite. Georgia has had some hiccups here lately.
Yes.
Texas has been playing really, really well. However, when they met not too long ago, Georgia came in and just dismantled them. Kirby is a smart guy. I think he will have another awesome game plan for Texas. So I'm taking Georgia plus the 2.5 points. Both these teams highly talented, and Georgia just had to scare their life against Georgia
Yes.
Tech. But I think, talent-wise, it's an even match. And I think Kirby Smart he's that guy that can come up with a defensive game plan. He is kind of the heir to Nick Saban. I think he does it again. And I think Georgia sneaks through. So I'm taking Georgia plus the points.
So I'm going to agree with you again. And yes, don't worry. We have some coming up that I disagree with Steve on. But I will say, I think Texas is somewhat overrated.
Yeah.
I just don't think they've played. I don't want to say they haven't played quality opponents. Their resume is not quite. It's not quite there for me. And you're right. Georgia's coming off a massive scare, and I think Georgia's going to roll. Yes, they did play before. We also saw what happened in that. It's hard to beat a team twice. I should have said that with the Boise State UNLV game. Very difficult to beat the same team twice in one season. But I think Georgia's able to do it, and I actually think they win this game straight up, somewhat easily. So I'm with you. Take the daggone points for crying. They're giving us points.
Yeah.
I'm taking them.
Taking the points. And you squeeze money. Oh, Michael said he likes the Georgia money line. Yeah, if you can get plus odds, if you think Georgia's going to win straight up and you get plus odds, go for it. Squeeze money hopped in. He says Georgia by 10. I agree, man.
Yeah.
Touchdown or more. Jerry says Big 12 is a very good league, very exciting. Totally agree. Super exciting. Anything can happen any week. I think, which makes it for an exciting, fun league to watch all season. However, it hurts them for their playoff chances because the league is set up for everyone to basically be 500 and the winner will be maybe a few games above that kind of thing where anybody can knock off everybody and makes it exciting. It just frankly, unfortunately, it hurts their chances for getting in and getting a high seed.
Yeah, there's no teams in that league that interest me.
Yeah.
Nothing against them.
Yeah, I understand.
I crap on him sometimes, especially your Mark doing what he's doing right.
Well,
he's banging the drum like he has to.
He's a carnival
He has
barker.
to. Yeah. He's a what?
Carnival barker.
Oh, I thought you said worker.
No,
carnival
carnival
like
barker.
a carny.
He's a carny, but he is a carny, but he's the barker out front. The guy,
Gotcha.
Come up and see the freak show.
All right.
Get your popcorn.
We're not making any Big 12 fans here.
No, we're
That's
not.
for
No,
damn
but
sure.
they are fun. Like they are fun to watch. It's interesting to watch. But it just
I think
hurts them.
Arizona State's a great.
Exactly.
I think it's a fantastic story.
BYU early in the season, they had a great run. We had the host of that one BYU show on. I'm sure you remember his name. I can't.
Trevor. His
Yes.
name was Trevor, and I'm
And-
trying to remember his podcast.
And he made some great predictions for.
He was on it.
He was on it. He got some criticism from his own fan base.
He got a lot of criticism from BYU
Yeah.
fans, but guess what?
And
He was pretty spot on, and everybody was loving BYU there for the first 9 games.
Kansas took their lumps early in the season, and then they came on and were thumping people. So, all right. So
Man, Jerry's saying go Texas now.
Oh, okay. So
Okay, so
right.
we got 3 left. We got Sun Belt, we got ACC, and we're saving your big boys, the Big 10 for last. So let's go to Sun Belt.
let's go to the Sun Belt. This is going to be my next, my second lock of this time, my second and last. So Marshall at Louisiana. I'm taking Louisiana to cover the 5.5, and I'm making this another Big Mountain ice cold lock. And honestly, I don't even. I would take this probably up to 9.5, at least pick it up to 9.5. I think this is a similar to Arizona State. I think Louisiana is just the better team. I think they win by more than a touchdown. So that's why I'm confident to take them to cover 5.5, and I made it a Big Mountain ice cold lock.
And I said this is the biggest spread of all the conference games. And you say, yep, it's the biggest spread because it should be. And I think they win by way more than that. And again, I'm agreeing with you, Steve. I'm also taking Louisiana. I don't know if I'm as confident as you are. I'm very confident in Arizona State. I'm maybe not as confident. I don't know these teams enough to be locking them. But I definitely like Louisiana. They've had a hell of a season.
Yes.
Fantastic season.
Yes.
We did predictions of all of the conference champions, and neither Marshall nor Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, was on our discussion point. We were talking Appy State and the kind of the standards. Yep. Texas State was pretty big for some people early on, but Louisiana hasn't had a fantastic season. So well done.
It doesn't surprise me. Steven is taking Marshall for the upset. And after I remember when we did our drafts, we did a Super League draft, and he took Marshall, I think, as maybe his third or fourth team pretty early. So it does not surprise me that he's taken Marshall for the upset win. So
okay.
All right. So moving on, ACC. We ready to talk ACC?
The ACC. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready to disagree with you.
Okay. So Clemson at SMU. This game is going to be in Charlotte, where the Carolina Panthers play. I saw they were painting the field there for the stadium.
I heard they were also painting the roses red.
Oh, they might have been. They might be.
Sorry, keep going.
All right.
That was from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yes. No, they was.
Sorry, I'm a child all of a sudden.
Okay.
Keep going. You talk football, Steve.
Keep going. Let's go. All right.
I'm not even drinking tonight.
Clemson at SMU. So I watched a good amount. So I'm taking Clemson plus the 2.5. I watched a good amount of the Clemson South Carolina game. South Carolina has been one of the hotter teams in the SEC coming down the stretch. And Clemson, South Carolina pulled out the win. Clemson lost that game to a rival. Kind of at the last minute, I think there was a interception in the end zone, Cade Klubnik. But before that, he had been having a great game. Clemson was playing great. So I'm taking Clemson plus the 2.5. And honestly, I think Clemson wins this game straight up. And it takes nothing away from SMU. SMU has had a fantastic season. I know you've been on them the last couple of years. And I know we're going to disagree on this game, so I'm not taking any shots at SMU because I think they did a good job. And honestly, I still think they deserve, even if they lose this game, I think they deserve to be in the playoff. And I never would have said that because I said the ACC only deserves to get one team. But if Clemson wins, I think both of them should get in. I think Clemson will win, so I'm taking them plus the 2.5 points.
I think everyone's going to like your pick, and they're not going to like my pick because I am taking the Mustangs from SMU. And part of it is because I was so high on them in the preseason, and I want to be right about that.
And you've been right. I mean, they've had a great season.
Yes, they've been phenomenal. I told everyone to take the over in their wins. I don't remember what the number was, but they're well over that number in their wins. I knew they were going to do fantastic things in the ACC, and they did. And I said they could be the ACC champions. And guess what? Saturday night, I'm picking them to be the ACC champions. I think they're too good. Clemson, okay, maybe. They're up and down. They just haven't been as impressive to me. I mean, who would have thunk here? We're talking about Clemson and SMU, and we're going, where the hell? What happened to Miami all of a sudden?
Yes.
Like, talk about a massive change.
Yes. Well, we've been talking about this the last few weeks on our show. These teams, their fan bases, they were complaining. Now Miami fans are complaining. Why can't we get into because you lost it on the darn field. You had a chance to play your way in. If Miami would have won this game, any of the two games that they lost here recently, they would have been in the college football playoff. It wouldn't even have mattered, but they lost it when they had a chance to play their way in. So it is what it is.
Well, I want to talk about this for a little while because Big Mama says this is the worst pick in TBM history. And I just want it to sink in on the screen a little bit more that I'm picking SMU. And Big Mama, he has direct access to me.
Yes.
They have direct access to me.
Yes.
So, if I'm wrong, they absolutely know where to find me. They can throw eggs at me. Not literally. Don't throw eggs at me. But you can call me and tell me how wrong that I was. But I just want to let this linger. Can we let it linger just a little bit,
Well,
Steve?
we can let it linger, but I do want to address squeeze money. And honestly, I feel exactly the same as squeeze money. I think Clemson's going to win, but I would prefer SMU to win probably. And I think that SMU has already done enough to earn their way into. I'm pretty sure they finished 11-1.
Yeah, they had one loss.
Yeah, I think they've already done enough to they've earned their way in the college football playoff. So even if they don't win this game, I think they should be in. And if they win it, obviously they'll be in with a pretty darn good seed. So they've had a great season, but I think Clemson will win. But I would prefer I would prefer to be wrong on this one than for you to be right.
Well, Michael to the rescue. He's with me on SMU. So with that, I will move on. Okay. I will let Big Mama be able to see a different graphic.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the last one. The Big Ten Finals. You're going there.
Yep.
Indianapolis.
Yes.
I got that right.
Big Ten Championship, Lucas Oil Field, 8 p.m. It's the last of the championship games, Saturday night. Penn State versus Oregon. I'm taking Penn State plus the 3.5, and people, Penn State homer. No one's going to be surprised.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, here's my rationale on this, and it's similar to my rationale. So we talked about a few games that I don't think are going to be close at all. I think this is going to be one of those games that's very close, and I think Oregon probably will win this game. But I think Penn State keeps it very, very tight. Yeah, see, Michael's already laughing. Penn State. I think this is going to be a very tight game. The strength, everyone keeps talking about, okay, Oregon's offense is better than Penn State's offense. To me, that's not the big part of this game. Both of these teams have very good defenses.
Yes.
Penn State, they just announced a bunch of the Big Ten awards and had, multiple players winning, Defensive Player of the Year awards and different things. Penn State's defense, to me, I think is underrated. Just a very, very good defense. Abdul Carter. They got Abdul Carter on the one side, who was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Denai Dennis Sutton from the other side, who just had sacks. I think this last game they had 6 sacks against Maryland. Oregon's a different animal. I don't think they're going to get good sacks, 6 sacks, but I think they put enough pressure on. I think this is going to be one of those low-scoring games, not too dissimilar to when Penn State played Ohio State. I think a lot of people are saying, thinking this is going to be like when Ohio State played Oregon and they just were bombing it down the field. Right. I don't see that happening. I think this is a close game. Probably Oregon wins. I think they're the better team on paper, but the game isn't played on paper. The game is going to be played on the field. And I remember 2016, this team, I've been telling you multiple points throughout this year. This team reminds me of the 2016 Penn State team who went in. They were, I think, 4.5 point underdogs to Wisconsin and pulled the upset, won the game. I don't know that they'll win this time. I hope that they win, but I think they keep it close. I think it's a field goal game. And so that's why I'm taking Penn State plus the 3.5.
Well, I'm going to start with Spence's comment. Are you not worried with James Franklin's record against big teams? I am, and that's why I'm picking the Oregon Ducks minus 3.5. Not only am I worried about that, I'm more concerned that the offense of Penn State, whether it's this year, and I'm sorry, Steve, I'm beating the drum I always, banging the drum I always bang. The offenses never seem to be able to get up for the big games, whether that's the Michigan game or the Ohio State game or whatever game that is. Yes, their defenses can play really, really well, but man, the offense they can't seem to get over that hump. And until they do it, I'm not going to have any faith that they can do it. And I think Oregon State, I think Squeeze Money said, yes, he thinks Oregon pulls away at the end of the game. I could see that happening because Penn State's offense isn't able to stay on the field enough and push the ball, have some sort of drives to keep their defense off the field. And I'm with Spence. I'm with Squeeze Money, and I'm taking Oregon. I wish you the best, Steve. I want you to go and have a great time. I want Penn State to win it for you. But for my pocketbook, I'm taking Oregon.
So here's the thing about Spence's comments. So people like to generalize, and they say Franklin in the big games. Well, those big games are really only against Ohio State.
Yeah, and Michigan.
And Michigan the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So coming into the COVID season, Penn State had won, I think, like 3 out of 4 or something against Michigan. It's really been those last few years. When they lost games other years, it was some weird. They would lose to Ohio State, and it'd be some weird other team that wasn't a big game.
I was going to bring that up, too.
Yes.
But you keep going.
Yes, but really it's been Ohio State. in other big games, so they played in one Big Ten championship under Franklin. They're 1-0. They've played in 5, what we call BCS bowls or New Year's Six bowls, and they're 4-1 in those. They basically beat everybody consistently over the 10 years, except for Ohio State. But the fact that they played Ohio. So do you know who beats Ohio State on a regular basis?
Michigan.
The last 3 years. They had lost 8 in a row to them before.
Yeah.
So I think that whole thing is a narrative. They say Franklin's not good in big games. No, Franklin's just not good against Ohio State. But nobody's good against Ohio State except for Michigan the last 3 or 4 years. But over 10 years, Ohio State was beating the crap out of Michigan every year. And if you look at who's gone to the Big Ten championship game, there's 3 teams that have won a Big Ten championship game in the last 10 years. Now I know Oregon was not in the Big Ten,
right.
But they didn't win the pack, the last year either. But there's 3 teams in the Big Ten who have won. Do you know who those 3 teams are in the last 10 years?
It's Ohio State.
Yep.
Ohio State. No, I'm kidding. Ohio State. Let me think. Ohio State. Penn State.
Yep.
And Michigan.
Exactly. So the point is,
so history would say Penn State's going to win this game.
Well, they won the one other time that they went. Yeah. So what I'm saying, I agree. I think Oregon's better team on paper this year. So I have no problem with people picking Oregon.
Yeah.
But the whole narrative about James Franklin's record against big teams, people just that's a stupid narrative. It should be, well, James Franklin loses almost all the time to Ohio State. Well, everybody other than Michigan the last 3 or 4 years loses to Ohio State almost all the time. That's just the way it is. They were in the same division. They played each other every year. So we'll see how it goes. Other than Ohio State, James Franklin has been great. He is one of the best in the country coaches against the point spread. I don't know if you knew that. One of the very best coaches against the point spread. He beats the point spread consistently. We've talked about that in other seasons where, and Maryland coach got upset about him running up the score last week, whatever. But yes, Franklin beats the teams that he's supposed to, and they often lose to Ohio State, like everybody else loses to Ohio State, except for Michigan the last 4 years. But I don't think that has anything to do with this Oregon game. Okay. Is my point on that. I think it's just there's not a lot of they call it causation without correlation.
Right.
I think it's correlation, but not similar causation.
I think the surprising thing is Penn State didn't have their oops game, and I said they always have an oops game. They almost had their oops game, but they were able to win. Who was it? Was it Wisconsin? Who was the one or Mini?
Well, both USC was a close game, Mini was a close game, and Wisconsin was a close game. They haven't had an oops game. The last time they had an oops game,
Illinois. I don't know if it was the last one.
Well, that was in 2019.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, or no, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Or 2021.
Yeah,
that was the last time they really had an oops game. They really, that used to be they would play Michigan State the week after either Michigan or
right.
And one year they played Minnesota. So they haven't had an oops game in a while. But it just this year they didn't have to play Ohio State and Michigan.
Right.
So, anyways. Squeeze Money asked, did we mention if I was going to the game? Yes, I'm going to the game. We'll be there. I already got my hotel booked. This will be my second time going to the Big Ten championship game, watching Penn State, Lucas Oil Field, which is a fantastic venue, great place to be. So super excited. If they win that game, they're going to the Rose Bowl, and they'll be the number 1 or number 2 seed. If they lose that game, they'll likely be hosting 2 weeks later a home playoff game, which I'll be at as well because I already reserved my ticket. So I'm excited to be there. I think Penn State has a chance, a chip in a chair. I think it'll be a close game. I think Oregon on paper is better, but I like them plus the points.
So people were asking about scores because you were talking defenses. Mm-hmm. You're talking potentially low scoring-ish. We don't know what the over-under is. I didn't look it up. But if you had to put a line on this, if you were like, hey, this is going to be in the 21-24, or what? Yeah. Like what are you thinking for the game?
I could see like a 23-20 type game.
Yeah,
honestly, I really could see a 23-20 type.
So game. Low to mid 20s for each team. So if you're interested in the over/under, Steve's saying around 45.
I looked at the over/under on. I would take the under. I forgot what it was, but I don't pick over/unders, but I would take the under for sure. Whatever it is, I would take the under.
All right, there you go. Where is the U? Oh, that's right. Lost to Syracuse. Yeah, right. Yes, due to this, we mentioned that it's odd that we just went over the ACC game and Miami is not a part of that.
They lost to Syracuse. They had lost before, to Georgia Tech, I think.
I don't remember. They did.
And they had like 3 or 4 other games that were like, they were down to Cal and, they were playing with fire in the ACC. And unfortunately, in the ACC, you don't really have that much room for error.
No, you don't. You don't have hardly any room for error. So, a couple things we want to wrap this episode up with. Number one, we just had a great, there you go, over-under is 49 and a half. So
under all day.
Steve's loving the under on that. Thank you, Tommy Gunn. Appreciate that. So we just had a discussion with the Vice President of Athletics for Grand Canyon University, Jamie Boggs. We're going to get that episode out tomorrow. You can learn more about Grand Canyon. I know we're a football pod here. We're talking football right now, but we're also followers of the Mountain West and the Big Ten. And because GCU is going to be joining the Mountain West here in the not too distant future, we wanted to have her on. And if you don't know what's going on in their basketball program, both from the actual performance and also from the Havocs, as they call themselves, the student section, it's pretty phenomenal. So we're going to get that out tomorrow. We talked to Jamie. Next week, we're of course going to pick the Army-Navy game. We've got to pick the Army-Navy game because it's the only game, so we're going to pick it. And we also are going to talk, of course, CFP. Mm-hmm. We'll go over that. And then...
I'm excited for this.
Go, you say it.
We're going to do our first... We didn't do these last year as far as I can remember. We're going to do our first ever Big Mountain Awards. We're going to do, Coach of the Year. We're going to do all kinds of awards. So all the teams that we cover that are in our power rankings, we're going to look at them together. We're going to do Coach of the Year, Quarterback of the Year, Running Back of the Year, Player of the Year.
Yep.
And we're going to do our awards. So that'll be all the Big Ten, all the Mountain West, the Pac-2, our Step Knolls, although the way they've played this year, I don't know if they're, they might get the Razzie Award.
The booby prize.
Yeah. So if they get an award, it's not going to be a good one.
No.
But I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And JH says, go Army, beat Navy. I have to say, as a 22-year veteran of the Navy, as a retired Navy chief, I have to say, go Navy, beat Army. But they're both sides. Their uniforms are awesome.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen them, go check them out. And maybe during our show next week, maybe when we pick the Army Navy, we'll share some pictures of their uniforms.
Yeah, and it may actually be a higher scoring game. I mean, these offenses from both sides have been really strong this year. Usually, you get these service academies like 10-7 or something like that, or you got to throw in a 10-9. You got to throw in a safety.
Yes.
But anyway. And the other thing is we will be picking all the bowls.
Oh, yes.
Every bowl, just like we did last year, every bowl Steve and I are going to pick, no matter how much we don't know about the teams. We're still going to pick the bowls, and I'm just going to remind Steve that I beat him by 1 last year. So I have the TBM Bowl trophy right now. I got to get a trophy, and you can try to beat me from it. Kind of like the cannon, Fremont cannon, or the boot. I don't know. What that stupid award? What's the weirdest looking award?
Oh, the land grant trophy.
The land grant trophy.
Yeah. Looks like something we made in 7th grade shop class.
Yeah, we can do that. But anyway, excuse me. Thank you guys, Michael. Glad you could make it to one, and Jerry. Glad you could make it to a live show. Good to have you here. Thank you, Bill. Can't miss YouTube programming. We try to stay on top of it. We try to get some good stuff out there that maybe you're not getting anywhere else. Because everybody talks about the same damn crap.
Yeah, this is our favorite night of the week, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you guys so much. I think we got up to about 35 on our normal night, Wednesday. Unfortunately, next week we're going to have to be on Thursday. It's my last hockey game on a Wednesday, which is next week. So we will be on Thursday next week. But hey, make sure you like this. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And, have fun watching these championship games. I think we're going to have some really, really good ones. I am so anxious for the Mountain West, and I'm anxious for you to be able to go see your Nittany Lions in Indianapolis.
I'm excited. I'm stoked.
Awesome. So with that, hey, we thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time on the Big Mountain.